However hard you think Instagram is today compared to last week or last month or last year, I promise you next week and next month is going to be even harder. My Way Home says, yeah, the Insta algorithm is killing my business sometimes. I try to ask for comments and shares to try and boost it. Yeah, I mean, that's something we talked about yesterday or the day before, that, one of the best ways, or one of the easiest ways to get engagement is to ask for it. Also, something that we'll get Stefan to talk about tomorrow night is engagement groups. And you should have other people that you kind of work with, collaborate with, to share each other's stuff, to share each other's posts, to comment in each other's posts, likes, shout each other out, etc. But I think one thing that's very important to understand is, I'll say Instagram, but this is going to be the same for everything. The algorithm is only going to make your job get tougher and tougher. So however hard you think Instagram is today compared to last week or last month or last year, I promise you next week and next month is going to be even harder, and the week after and the month after is going to be even harder still, because in very simple terms, all these platforms work on supply and demand. How many people are supplying content and how many people are consuming content? And this is why, obviously, a lot of the big advisors talk about the power of TikTok at the moment and how people should be on TikTok. And they're not saying, you should be on TikTok because it's of the particular way you deliver content. The reason TikTok is popular for influencers at the moment is because there is a lot less people putting content out on TikTok than there is watching content. Therefore, I guess the equivalent of this is anyone who's as old as me can remember the days that we only had 4 TV channels, well, 5 TV channels. I mean, I remember only having 4 TV channels. I'm also embarrassed enough to say I remember Betamax Video as well. But when there was 4 TV channels, there was so many more eyeballs on those TV channels. So obviously there's more people watching, there's less content, and the advertising revenues are much, much higher. Then Sky comes in, and then Virgin comes in, and cable comes in, and now there's so many more channels with so much more content, and the price of advertising on all this stuff goes down because more people are watching. To get people to watch your shows is harder because there's so much more content, and it's exactly the same theory. It's just simple supply and demand economics on Instagram. And it's the same on Facebook, and it will be the same on TikTok next year or the year after or the year after that. So my 2 comments are really that you've got to use whatever, I don't want to use the word tricks, but hacks, but let's say whatever strategies you can use to get the absolute best out of Instagram for you. But you also need to know that it's only going to get worse. So what you need to also be getting yourself set up on other platforms, helping move your customers from Instagram to Facebook, to Snapchat, to the other platforms, so that when one platform's popping and the other one's not performing, you're okay, and vice versa. You also want to try and certainly move them to the likes of YouTube. We've talked about YouTube a lot in these lives because YouTube is different to other social media platforms, whereas the likes of Instagram, your content lasts for an hour or a week or a day or a week. Content on YouTube just gets better and better and better over time. I'm sure you guys have all watched a YouTube video that might be 10 years old or 8 years old or whatever. I certainly have, but that's happened because it's a search engine as opposed to a social media platform. And what you really, really need to be doing is getting email addresses for your customers. Getting them off these platforms and getting them onto an email address, because again, we've talked about this a bit over the last few days. You've got to appreciate and understand that you don't own your data on Instagram. Instagram own your data. And this is why, one of my pet hates that drives me mad for lost opportunity for these guys is the influencers who are only concentrating on one platform. Somebody who's got 1 million fans, so 1 million followers on Instagram, but doesn't move them onto any other platforms, because they don't own those 1 million people. Instagram own them, and it could go off at any point, and then their business is fucked. And their business is being on Instagram.